This next session will focus on the MIT Portugal program's contribution for education, the engine for a thriving community. In this session, we will bring current PhD candidates and MIT Portugal alumni to the stage to share their work and visions for the future of education. We welcome our MPP PhD students, Albano Martins from the Faculty of Engineering of the University of Porto, Beatriz Beguino from Faculty of Sciences of the University of Lisboa, Mathilde Marques from Técnico Lisboa, and our MPP alumni, Cristiana Paulo, former Chief Technology Officer of Matera, and Samuel Oliveira Moniz, professor and researcher at the University of Coimbra. Our moderator for the session is Ana Mena, Innovation and Education Coordinator at the MIT Portugal program.
Hello, everyone, and good afternoon, and welcome to the education session. So since the beginning, the MIT Portugal program has been investing in the training of highly qualified human resources, aiming at creating a community that could enhance the academic and industrial ecosystem. So during phases 1 and 2 of the program, 7 PhD and executive master's programs were created, hosting more than 1,100 students. So here are some of the faces of those students. Some of you may recognize a few faces of them. And after these years, we have to say that the investment that we have been done in providing an excellent education to these people in an international environment has paid off. So just a brief analysis of where are our alumni. And this is just data from students from the PhD programs. We have about 26% doing research in academia, 12% are professors or lecturers at higher education institutions, 27% are working in industry, 4% are doing research in industry, and 5% started a company. But we have many other students working in other sectors, so some of them are working in organizations that promote innovation and business ventures, in public entities such as city halls, state departments, and other public organisms, in NGOs or associations, and in policy or at policy-related institutions. And some of these alumni are taking leading roles in these institutions. So we are very proud of our alumni community, and we wish them all the best and that they may continue shaping our society. So in its current phase, the MIT Portugal program, education program, has been restructured, and now we are opening calls to support students through a PhD grant. So these PhD grants are funded by FCT, and until now and these students may enroll in any Portuguese university, so in any doctoral program running in these Portuguese universities, in any Portuguese university, that better suits their research interests. And so far, we already opened 3 calls for PhD grants. The last call we are still under, it's still under evaluation, but we so far have selected already 73 PhD candidates. And today, I also would like to welcome the students for, sorry, not this one. So today, I also would like to welcome the students from the last call from 2021. Welcome to the community, to the MIT Portugal community. I'm going to invite you, if you are here present in the room, to stand so that people can see who you are. Don't be shy. Okay. So we wish you all the best for your research, and well, maybe you need some applause. For this session, we invited 3 PhD candidates, Beatriz Biguino, Albano Martins, and Matilde Marques, and 2 MIT Portugal alumni, Cristiana Paulo and Samuel Muniz, to share with us what they have been doing and also to give their perspectives on how we can better improve postgraduate education here in Portugal. So we will start by talking with our PhD candidates and then with our alumni. So the PhD students that we have here today are representatives of the 2020 and 2021 calls. And I will perhaps start with Beatriz Biguino, just next to me. So Beatriz Biguino, she was selected in the call of 2021 in the area of climate sciences and climate change, with a project that aims at addressing the vulnerability of the Western Iberian estuaries to climate change impacts. Her background is in meteorology, oceanography, and geophysics, and in marine sciences. Beatriz, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you.
If you need.
Hi, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank the opportunity to be here and talk a bit about my PhD project. So I'm a first-year PhD student, and my project is entitled Climate Change in the Western Iberian Coast from Seas to Estuaries. And it's framed within the research line of climate change and climate sciences. So, what is the background? Yeah, the motivation behind this project. So, climate change. We've been talking about the climate change and evidence of climate change that are being observed throughout our oceans. But the thing is that the magnitude of these changes tends to change according to the regions being analyzed. And it's necessary to, in fact, assess the magnitude of these changes in a regional scale and also considering the type of systems that we have. So, as for example, for estuaries, it's expected that these systems present a different magnitudes of evidence of climate change than, for example, the global ocean. However, estuarine systems are still underexplored, mainly due to their natural high dynamic, but also due to the lack of extended in situ observations. And that's the case also for the Portuguese estuaries and the Western Iberian estuaries. So the main aim of my PhD thesis is to assess if, in fact, the estuaries of the Western Iberian coasts are more vulnerable to climate change than the coastal ocean, and then, in a later stage, propose a set of measurements to help mitigate the effects of climate change at a regional scale. How I will do this? Well, first of all, the big challenge is to build a big data set. So, focusing on in situ observations, the purpose here is to gather as many as possible long-term data sets of in situ observations of several parameters, namely water temperature, salinity, pH, sea level, chlorophyll A. And then to complement this analysis, integrating satellite-derived data. Then the search for regional climate change evidence starts to, in a later stage, use modeling approaches to reconstruct also the past condition, but to be able to predict and construct future scenarios for the different estuarine regions. And ultimately, the ultimate goal is then to contribute to adaptation plans and mitigation strategies based on these results. Today, I will show a bit part of the results that I have so far, so preliminary results. I am starting to work on Sado estuary. It's the second largest estuary of Portugal. And why Sado? Because we have a very valuable in situ time series that covers the entire estuary, and has data since the 80s. And this data set includes data from several variables that are also being analyzed, but in here I will show the results that I have on these temperatures data sets. So basically, I'm studying the long-term trends for this estuary, and what we have been observing is that for this estuary in particular, everything points to a decrease in the sea surface temperature. We all have been hearing about the increase in the ocean temperature, but in this case, everything points to a decrease and significant decrease near the mouth of the estuary. Satellite data also corroborate these results, but these are still preliminary, and future work will focus in understand in fact why is this happening, if in fact it is happening, and to compare these results with other estuaries and also with our coastal ocean to understand if in fact this particular Sado estuary is being more vulnerable to climate change regarding its temperature variations than the coastal ocean. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you, Beatriz. So now I invite Albano to present his work. Albano Martins is a civil engineer and is doing research in the area of sustainable cities with a close look at climate science and climate change, with a project titled Bioclimatic Design in Urban Context through the Recovery of Vernacular Solutions. Albano was selected in the call of 2020.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I will begin to thank MIT Portugal to the invitation. I'm very pleased to be here and to present my research project. So, my project title is Bioclimatic Design in Urban Context through the Recovery of Vernacular Solutions. My supervisor is Fernando Brandão Alves and my co-supervisor is Helena Corvacho, both of Faculty of Engineering of the University of Porto. So I will start to make some initial remarks. Vernacular bioclimatic solutions and their principles of adapting construction to the climate are important lessons in constructive and environmental sustainability. So what's the research question? Can vernacular knowledge adapt public space and optimize thermal comfort given the diverse effects of climate change? Actually, vernacular knowledge can be an efficient sustainability strategy in management and intervention of physical heritage, such as to optimize thermal comfort in outdoor spaces. So what's the outline of the sustainability strategy in urban design? Design strategy is vernacular-based solutions that will improve quality of life and social well-being, improving the outdoor lifestyle, and mitigate the climate change, considering local climate conditions. That will conduct to the bioclimatic guidelines in urban context. That will conduct to some guidelines at municipal level, like urban master plan. So, what the guiding factors and key elements? We have 5 guiding factors. Number 1 is surface reflectivity and color in architecture. The key element is solar orientation and urban design. We can play with the reflectivity of the construction materials. Number 2 is the vegetation use and evaporative cooling. The key element is plant species and water mass. We can play with both. And number 3, multi-material construction elements, material combinations. We can combine wood, stone in the pavement. And number 4, shading and ventilation. The key element is sun protection and air circulation. And number 5, sun catchment and or reflection areas, openings, influence, and roofing. What's the expectations? The bioclimatic vernacular solutions that are more effective and efficient can be used as guidelines for the eventual of specific regulations in terms of the measures to be adopted by municipalities in the building or rehabilitation, construction, licensing processes leading to the preservation of the urban heritage. Well, through the use of computer applications for modeling and virtual simulations, we can find out what are the more effective and efficient bioclimatic vernacular solutions, combining or mixing different scenarios. Some final remarks. In the future, this type of approach does not prevent urban designers from seeking to integrate tradition with modernity to define a hybrid system in a fusion of intelligent and traditional materials, allowing the exploration of new aesthetic and functional concepts. The evident change in people's lifestyles increasingly determines the need of the use of thermally comfortable outdoor spaces, bringing benefits in the environmental, economic, and social domains of the respective cities. Thank you for listening.
And now I'd like to invite Matilde Marques. Matilde is a biologist and she's studying coral microbiome interactions, aiming at boosting coral and reef resilience to climate change. She was selected in the call of 2020 within the area of Earth systems.
Thank you. Good afternoon. So my name is Matilde and I am a PhD student, as Ana Mena just mentioned, from Instituto Superior Técnico in Lisbon. So due to climate change, the conservation of coral reefs has become a very pertinent topic. And the main goal of my work is to take advantage of the symbiotic relationships that corals establish with microorganisms, such as bacteria, viruses, and fungi. And we aim to create a probiotic cocktail of octocoral-associated bacteria that will improve coral health and make them more resilient to temperature and pathogen stress. We are working with octocorals, which are a widespread group of corals that can be found in tropical and temperate regions, including Portugal. We are culturing octocoral-associated bacteria, and then we'll screen them for beneficial traits and select the ones with the most promising characteristics. We will formulate the probiotic and then test this probiotic on alive octocorals exposed to temperature and pathogen stress in aquariums. So far, we have established a partnership with Oceanário de Lisboa, where we have collected tropical octocorals from their largest coral exhibition tank. This will allow us to identify the microbial community of an aquarium setting while isolating some new potential beneficial bacteria. So far, we have identified a great diversity of bacteria genera, and we have successfully cultivated some highly novel groups of bacteria and also symbionts that are known to be very important for coral health, but are usually really hard to cultivate. This Saturday, I am heading to Kaust University in Saudi Arabia to collect octocorals from the Red Sea. This will allow us to compare the octocoral microbiomes from aquarium versus wild environments. And after the formulation of the potential probiotic cocktail, I will test its effectiveness and impact, its effectiveness and impact on corals under temperature and pathogen stresses in aquarium and also in a natural reef in the world's first probiotics underwater village for corals. And with this project, we aim to improve the knowledge of microbiome functioning of octocorals and also to deliver some custom methodology that can be useful for future reef restoration practices. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mathilde. So before I give the word to Christiana, I just would like to make just a very general question or to the students, the same question to all of you. So, and before we go to our alumni. So you are now doing a PhD. So what are your expectations for the future? What do you aim to accomplish?
Okay, I
can start if you want.
With the PhD, I hope to find different kind of opportunities. I think in the long term, I would like to be able to do my research in order to have a meaningful contribution to the function of society. In the long term, I would like to see that my research, my work, would benefit someone or someone in some place. But yeah, I think I want to think. Despite I know I will be facing some challenges, and well, I hope I'm expecting to encounter some challenges. Mainly in the transition between the end of PhD and the beginning of a new stage of my career. I know that will be a challenge, but yes, I think with the PhD, I hope to be able to have different opportunities.
Thank you, Beatriz. Alban, Mathilde, any?
I would like, with this opportunity of getting a PhD, I would like to open the line for new research in this area, in the sustainable cities. I think my project is interesting because goes to the past, trying to know more about the cooling and heating passive strategies, the building techniques, and as I said, I think it will open the line for new research in this area, and I would like to pursue a career in this area too. So I will try to make or to contribute somehow to benefit our society. So I think it's my thinking.
Thank you, Alban.
So besides the obvious answer of having a job, finding a job that I like, so I think what, like Beatriz was saying, and also Alban, I hope to find something in the niche that I work and that I like, and I always try for feasible applicability, and that's my expectation. something that I can easily see the application or directly apply
Thank you, Mathilde.
to society.
Thank you, Mathilde. So now I'm going to give the floor to our alumni, and we can start with Cristiana. So Cristiana Paulo is an alumna from the first edition of the Bioengineering Systems MPP doctoral program. She entered, so her edition was in the academic year of 2007-2008. So after her PhD, Cristiana chose to pursue a career in industry. She became the Chief Technological Officer of Matera, a startup whose creation was also linked to the MPP. And she's been working there for 10 years and until very recently. So Cristiana, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I'm very pleased to be here to feel again this energy that the program brings us. This is a picture from 2007. So we were at Jerez at the Leadership Weekend, taking a deep breath in that beautiful landscape between all the lectures that we had and the lab rotations we were going to have. So during this first year, it was an intense experience. I had the opportunity to have lectures at 3 different universities in Portugal with excellent teachers from Portugal and from the US. It was really intense and life-changing, and this spirit of entrepreneurship and networking, it was really a gift from the program. So this should change the slide, right? Where do I point? Okay. So during the first year of the PhD program, I also met my PhD supervisor. And the challenge he proposed was to tackle and to find a real-life problem and to find a product that we could use to prevent fungal biofilm formation on biomedical devices. So to do that, we use an antifungal drug that is called amphotericin B. It attacks the fungal cell membrane, forming holes and ultimately leading the fungus to burst. What I did was to tether this drug to a biocompatible polymer and then to connect the polymer on the surface of silicon nanoparticles. These nanoparticles then had the ability to be fixed to a surface. In this case, it was a glass cover slip, and we can see that the coating prevented fungal growth. So given these first results, Lino Ferreira, my PhD supervisor, founded Matera at Biocant in 2009. So we can see the pictures of the microbiology lab and the chemistry lab. And we first started, so I started being part of the company while I was still a PhD student. And by 2011, this was the team. The aim of Matera was in the beginning to work in these 2 fields of biomedical and environmental area. And from 2009 to 2013, the company was mainly, the work was supported by projects, and the main focus was to research and build intellectual property, which we did. We had 2 patent applications, one in the biomedical area and one in the industrial applications. So from 2014 to 2017, the team shrunk significantly. We were only 2 people at the time at the lab. And we had to choose to drop one application. And we dropped the biomedical one because it was more expensive to put to the market. So for the environmental application, we started to work together with industrial partners, which produced plywood, aluminum, textiles, paints, and together with them, we were applying the coating to the materials during the manufacturing process in the factory. And we also participated in a European project in a consortium to try to increase the properties of the antifouling paints in ships. So what was the product we wanted to sell? There were antimicrobial nanoparticles with a wide spectrum of activity, which killed on contact. So we produced the coatings with variable methods, depending on the application. And then this coating would kill the microbes without needing to come off the surface. So it would still be active after having killed one microbe. And the coatings would be durable during the lifetime of the product. So we tested the antimicrobial activity, and it was active against bacteria, fungi, and also viruses. In the last 4 years, so we had already done the proof of concept with the companies, the industries, and we needed to scale up the production to really be able to provide the product once the orders come. So we were also focusing on marketing the product, and really time-consuming and expensive process, which was complying with the biocidal products regulation. However, the market pool was not so strong. We didn't have orders that were enough. So the company closed in October 2019, which is ironic because in a few months we had the largest demand for antimicrobials technologies during the pandemic. So this renewed interest made the company reopen in 2020, so with increased expectations. Well, a lot of things happened which were not so good, and so it didn't work out. But I have to say, from my part, as a lab person, I enjoyed very much working at Matera. It was a good experience. I had learned a lot of things I wish I knew before. And let's see what the future brings. I would like to thank MIT Portugal for everything I gained from that, and thank you all for your attention.
Thank you, Christiane. And now, finally, I would like to invite Samuel here to give his presentation or to speak. I don't know if you want to speak there. So Samuel Muniz is an alumnus of the Leaders for Technical Industries MPP doctoral program. He got into the program in the academic year of 2009-2010, and 12 years later, he is now professor in industrial engineering and management at University of Coimbra, and also a researcher in this area. Samuel, please, the floor is yours.
I think I can stay here, okay?
Sure.
First of all, thank you very much for this invitation. It's really a pleasure to be here as a former MIT Portugal student. And I will just brief a little bit about my experience. So I started my PhD in 2009, and I think I had a very diversified experience. So within the PhD, I had the possibility to work with the pharmaceutical industry. So we developed very interesting optimization models to make smarter decisions in terms of planning and scaling of relevant resources as reactors, filters, so everything that is required to produce active pharmaceutical ingredients. So these, I think the results were relevant, and we could indeed make a difference to change the way the industry could plan and do a better utilization of the resources. After that, I continued to work with other industries. So I would say that the PhD opened a lot the doors, the knowledge, the network to address complex problems, real problems that are relevant for the industry, such as supply chain optimization, logistics management, operation management problems, designing new factories in a better and smarter way, and doing that by applying analytical models that can be used to explore large solution spaces, especially when we have a lot of uncertainty. So although the scope of my work is a little bit different from those that were presented here, I would say the methods are similar. So in short, I think MIT Portugal in training PhDs is doing a very good job. Also concerning the industry, I think it's important to note that the industry of the future is going to, or is driven by a constant change of the process. So there is a lot of space for improvement. There is a lot of space to introduce new models, new techniques that can be useful to change. Again, I think our role, the role of MIT Portugal, is to capture the best students and try to give them the best training and launch them to create startups, to education, to the academy and other activities that are relevant for us, for the society in general.
Thank you, Samuel. So I will just ask Cristiana and you one question, and then I will invite the audience also to pose you questions. Cristiana, what have been the main challenges of being the Chief Technology Officer of a startup?
I think the main challenges were two. For one, since we have limited resources, we had to improvise a lot. So we needed to make omelets without eggs a lot of times. So a lot of visits to the hardware store, to the supermarkets, to try to mimic the conditions of equipment we didn't have. So sometimes it happened. And the other was to keep focus while multitasking. So sometimes we had to, with limited also human resources, we had to share a lot of tasks. Some that we were at the same time learning the skills to do. Yeah, it was stimulating and hard at the same time.
Yeah, I understand. Thank you. Samuel, you are now supervising the work of PhD candidates, and in fact you are the supervisor of one of our current PhD candidate. What advice can you give him and the other PhD candidates for their PhDs?
Okay, this is a difficult question because there are a lot of things that we should do. So the first one, I think, is to, do a PhD with a purpose. Okay, and I think you guys that present us and the sample of posters that we have there, I think we have really interesting topics and relevant problems that must be solved. Another point that I think is relevant, please build a network. Okay, the MIT Portugal brings a lot of opportunities concerning doing work with other Portuguese researchers that work in other universities, work with MIT naturally. So trying to build your network, because you will need of this network the day after your PhD. So, and this is my the third recommendation is think on the day after. So you did the question to Beatriz, okay, what you are going to do after this? You have 3 years to think on that. So you need to do a thesis, of course. This is the main deliverable that you need to do. But you have plenty of time also to plan the day after.
Okay, thank you. So now I don't know if there are any questions in the audience that you'd like to make. If not, I have a couple of more questions to do. So back to the science, and here the science of our PhD candidates. Beatriz, climate change is one of the biggest challenges of humanity. You are doing research on this topic, focusing on local issue. Do you think it will be possible to extrapolate your findings to a more global scale?
Yes, I think so. The point of view of my project is to be able to reach a national point of view. So to have as good as possible a national cover for climate change evidence. And these results could be extrapolated to another estuaries with similar characteristics, or even these results can even be perhaps integrated in international reports or strategies, as the last goal of this project is in fact to contribute with a set of measurements to help coastal populations to adapt and mitigate climate change. So if in fact we are successful in the construction of these set of measurements, this can also be extrapolated to other regions, yes. And I think, well, just the fact of studying several estuaries with the purpose of focused just the regional point of view, I think it can enhance the study of estuaries worldwide. Yeah.
Thank you, Beatriz. Alban, I remember when I was a kid and I was at school that I learned that different regions of Portugal would have different architectures, different constructions. So, for instance, houses in the south would have a terrace on the top, and houses in the northern interior would use more granite. Currently, you don't see much differences in the constructions that are made across the country. So it's very interesting, your idea of recovering some vernacular solutions. Still, the old architecture was not efficient in terms of energy comfort. So where do you draw the line when revisiting more traditional solutions?
Well, I agree with you, because nowadays we can see not much difference in the architecture in north or south. So I'm interested in to know and to learn about the ancient building techniques, construction materials, and the line is link the construction materials with the heating and cooling passive strategies, and natural ventilations. I mean, when I say natural ventilations, I mean in urban space, I mean in outdoor. So I mean air circulation, okay? And we can play with some architectural elements, like arcades, like paving solutions, like a square. We can mix or combine some construction materials like wood, stone, earth, and I'll try to mix different scenarios and try to find out what are the more efficient and more effective. When I say more efficient and more effective, I mean I have to do some measures, like wind speed in outdoor space in the square. I can measure the wind speed solar radiation, mean temperature, and relative humidity. So with these parameters, we can find what are the more effective and efficient solutions. You have to go to the field to do that measurements and to input them in the computer applications like MVMet or other applications. And mix the different scenarios, doing the modeling and doing the virtual simulations. So we have to try to learn with the ancient people that have that kind of knowledge, and try to integrate the best solutions in our country. I'm more focused in the temperate climate, Mediterranean climate, and then that's all. It's my concern right now.
Thank you, Alban. Mathilde, so microbiome is proving to be very relevant in terms of human and animal health. So therefore, your idea of studying to increase coral and reef resilience to changes in ocean temperatures is really good. Still, the reefs are inserted in an ecosystem, and when changing a population of bacteria, we may be having an impact on other species of the ecosystem. So what are your thoughts on this?
It's a very important question that we are always trying to get around. So, first of all, we are using bacteria that were isolated from the octocorals themselves. So, they are from that environment. And that's why we also evaluate the impact not only on the octocoral itself, but also in the surrounding water, the sediments, and in the probiotics village, we create patches with other organisms, other corals, probably algae. We are still constructing that plan. But to evaluate the impact on other organisms that surround the coral that we are treating, to see the impact on the reef. So it's something that we look out to, but we try to minimize. And we have identified that when a coral gets sick, it's usually an imbalance of bacteria from the coral itself. So when it is healthy, these bacteria are already there. They just grow in larger amounts and they are harmful to the coral. So we are just also trying to make the balance right again. And when they get sick, besides that, they also acquire a lot of bacteria from the water. So when we add the probiotic to the corals, not all bacteria get attached to the coral. Some go to the water, but it's a very small proportion, so it doesn't affect much the surrounding areas.
Okay.
I hope that answered.
No, for sure. Thank you. So we will have to close the session soon, but still I would like to ask a question also to our alumni, and more in terms of the way that you are seeing education, and therefore, so are you happy with the way academia is training citizens? Is there any scope for improvement in terms of postgraduate education to better prepare our students to respond to the challenges that our society is facing? And the same question is for both of you. I don't know,
I can start.
Samuel, perhaps you can start.
Yeah, it's a difficult question. I think your first slide is, with some relevant figures on this could help us to debate. But I would say, generally, I think we are training PhDs in a very good way. Maybe there is some work to do in what concerns in keeping talent working in Portugal and improve the link between academia and industry, okay? And this is related, in my opinion, in the way, we need to find ways to show the value a PhD student, a researcher, can bring to the companies. There are work to do in both sides, both at the academia and industry, but I would say that at the end, Portugal will benefit from it, and everyone, the industry, will also benefit, of course. Overall, I think one of the goals of MIT Portugal is also to do that, to link, to close this gap between academia and this industry. So there is a lot of things to do, but I think we are doing some interesting things. Yeah.
Thank you, Simon. Christiana, do you want to add any?
Yes, I completely agree with what Simon said. And a lot of PhD programs are actually currently doing this, making these rotations in companies, rotations in different universities. And what I could add is probably we could also make a link with trying to do science communication a bit more with the general population or with school children, letting them know what is currently being done.
Thank you, Christiana. And I would like to thank the five of you for accepting our invitation to participate in this session. It was really good listening to you and knowing more about what you are doing now. A one-day conference is always too short to show all the beautiful work that our students and alumni are doing. I hope you have had the opportunity to learn more about the work of our students during the poster session. And still, please note that we will create new opportunities to interact and for the students also to show what they are doing and to discuss it with the rest of the community. So please keep an eye on our website and social media for news about future events. So just a brief note to the PhD candidates of the 2021 call that we just had a session, but I forgot to give you something. So at the end of the next session, please join me, okay? And thank you all. Obrigada.